across the globe, Ben Norris, Rob McKnight, and David Robinson.
Ben, Rob and Robbo. News, reviews, entertainment news. It's the Ben, Rob and Robbo. Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. Ben, Rob and Robbo Show.
Welcome to the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. Here's Rob McKnight.
Hello and welcome to the Ben, Rob and Robbo Show. Yes, I'm Rob McKnight, and I really could not do this show without the two fabulous people. They couldn't be here, so we've got Robbo and Ben. Hey, bit of a joke,
I didn't mind that. Oh, yeah, he's a jokester, everyone. And we know he's a joker because he kind of looks like what Joker would have worn in the first Batman film, Jack Nicholson there. I don't mind it. It's a great ensemble, but... I understand. It's.
I'm feeling very. You're not going to take this away from me. I'm feeling very dapper, and it's funny. I've already had commentary about it. The postman came, and I went out and got a package, and he said, "Oh, you're looking very done up. Where are you going?" I said, "Just to the garage."
Does he know you at all? Did he ask you that?
Sorry, David.
Was he flirting you? Was he flirting with you?
Well, everyone flirts with me. Sorry, go Ben.
Oh, I just was going to say, did he ask you the question, why so serious?
Oh, everyone's so mean. You know what? I saw a nice jacket. I saw a nice shirt in my cupboard, and I just thought, I'm going to put these two together. Maybe I got it wrong. Is this a fashion do or a fashion don't? Let us know at hashtag I don't really care.
I really like it. I do. Anyway.
You know what?
Look, I think you might need to see an optometrist, but it's okay.
Besides my outfit, which has become a topic of discussion so soon into the episode, we have so much coming up. Sam Dastyari is going to talk about the big bombshell raids on a parliamentarian in New South Wales Parliament. We are going to be meeting the eliminated contestant from Big Brother. Yes, we've got Angela on this very show. I love her. We will get to all that soon. Don't forget to use the hashtag BRR Show on Twitter and leave us a message on our Facebook page, facebook.com/BRR Show. And that way, if you leave it there, we'll be able to include your commentary in our feedback section a little later. But first of all, let's get to our hot button topics. And ring-fencing suburbs could soon become a reality in Melbourne. An epidemiologist who is advising the World Health Organization made the suggestion in light of the dramatic rise in new COVID cases. 10 suburbs in the city have been identified as hotspots. Ben, are you frustrated here? We're seeing restrictions easing all over the country, but it looks more and more likely that this lockdown for Victorians is not far away.
Yeah, look, I think it's just perfectly normal in this state of non-normal behaviour. Like, I think this pandemic is particularly hard to deal with. I think what's happened to Victoria could have happened in any other state. And I think that Premier Daniel Andrews is just trying to do his best. It's not surprising to me that they're going to try this method of being able to lock down certain areas of Victoria. I think that's just one way of seeing how we can take a handle of this. I'm not frustrated, though, and I'm not a politician, so you'll notice that I'm not shifting the blame to anyone.
No, good on you, and I like that. What would be interesting, though, is if we end up with these fences around suburbs and you can't get out. It's not frustrating now, but could it be? If you're living in an area where you can't pop over to the next suburb to catch up with a friend or just do some shopping, will you end up getting frustrated?
No. I won't. Like, I think, we managed to do lockdown, and lockdown was really frustrating. I wasn't able to see any of my family members. A lot of Zoom chats with friends and family was really quite trying. So, look, I think at the end of the day, these are sort of unusual, unprecedented circumstances that we have to adapt and adopt to so that we can manage to get through this.
Yeah, Robbo, we are both Queenslanders, and I've got to say, I have not had a problem with the border not reopening.
No, me neither. And the same thing. Sorry. I agree, though. It's not like COVID-19 is not a death sentence. It's not a disease that you have for the rest of your life, right? So if you have to be locked up in your suburb where there will obviously be, things put in place, you can go to shops and whatnot, just do it for 14 days. Because if you do it and don't go out and don't, actually adhere to the lockdown rules, it'll go away.
Yes.
As in the lockdowns will go away. That's all you need. It's not like you're locked up forever. Just do it.
Yeah. It's interesting. SA is not opening their borders until July 20, is the news just coming through at the moment. So, you know, there's no doubt the Victorian crisis is making everyone nervous. I do believe we're getting an announcement today on Queensland. I was actually just about to have a look and see if anything had come through. We will update you on that as the show progresses if there's any announcements. In the meantime, comedian Chris Lilley has defiantly uploaded scenes of him portraying Jonah from Tonga, despite a recent backlash. Lilley has yet to respond directly to allegations from former schoolboy Philippe May, who believes that the character was based on him and still feels embarrassed about that depiction. In a sign that Lilley doesn't agree with either that allegation or Netflix's decision to remove 4 of his shows from their platform, he uploaded deleted scenes to his social media.
Well, me and my brother, we sing the Bangles to my mum. We have some photos of my mum, and almost every night we sing the Bangles because that is my mum's favourite song, Close Your Eyes. My mum loved that song because when she was with my dad and they went to the Bangles concert, that's when my dad kissed my mum when they were playing that song, and my dad said he pinched her bum. And that's always her favourite song that she remembers from that moment. And that's what we think about when we're singing it.
It's interesting. It's interesting, isn't it, Robbo? Because he has talked about the fact how much he loves the Jonah character. Peter Ford actually did a tweet today where he circled all the recent uploads in the last couple of days. This is not coincidence. This is not a mistake. Chris Lilley has decided to go, no, I stand by my art, and I actually quite like that. If he believes he's in the right, I have no problem with him doing this whatsoever.
I really respect this. I love that he hasn't just bowed down like everyone else in this kind of cancel culture, because, you know, we're kind of tarring everyone with a big brush, aren't we? So if there's even something remotely kind of connected to blackface or brownface, then it must be completely bad. Again, we will stress that we are 3 white guys talking about this. It doesn't mean we can't have an opinion about it. But I just think that this is really different to Little Britain, for example. So Little Britain... it was always just comedy, you know, and they were doing blackface and everything. Chris Lilley's comedy is really quite, it's got a lot of depth to it. So you get these kind of, you know, jokes and whatever, and then you get these really lovely moments that he's able to do. That is a lovely moment. It's an actor portraying a character. It is not, you know, shitting on the race or, you know, anything like that. It is just a character, or sorry, an actor who's created a character and given him depth. Again, I said this yesterday, at the end of Summer Heights High, it was Jonah who had that really amazing, very sweet, very dramatic, you know, change of events that happened to him in the last episode, which was beautiful. That was beautiful. I commend him for doing this. I really do.
Ben, there is a extra layer to this because Philippe has come out and has basically faced a lifetime of everyone knowing this character was based on him, and he hasn't liked that. You know, we talked about the parody on the Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt yesterday, which led to a suicide. This is not a public figure. This is a guy. Does that take it away from the whole blackface, brownface issue and put it on a deeper level with Lilley posting these videos when there is a guy who's actually saying, you based this character on me and I do not like it?
There's certainly levels of disrespect going on here, and I think in this situation, we're sort of stepping outside of the circle of how we were talking about blackface, etc. This is a person who's come forward who was used as a focus point for creating this character. This kid has gone on to live a traumatic existence because of this character being created by Chris Lilley. And I think it's really tone deaf of Chris Lilley, who I love, but very tone deaf of him not to censor some of his social commentary out of respect for the person who was the source material. I just want to use another example. A friend of mine's life was depicted in a book. She had someone ring her and say, your life is fascinating. I want to write a book about it. The book became a best-selling novel. Across the country, reprinted. My friend is not getting any royalties from this whatsoever. The person who ended up writing the story about her life won't even answer this woman's phone calls anymore, and she is making lots of money off it. Let me tell you, when it comes to the source of this story, the source of this story is a boy who's upset about the depiction of himself. It is credited to him. It's now more credited to him, essentially, because it's in the media, and it's a little bit disrespectful that...
It hasn't been proven.
well-
It was just, he was part of a documentary. Chris Lilley did go to his school, but there are a lot of Tongan boys at the school. I really think it's a long bow to draw by saying that this is definitely what's happened to this
There are
young guy. And
specific
also,
examples, Robbo. I think it's well established.
Absolutely,
Back
it is credited.
But back to you. Hold on. But back to you when you're saying everyone knows. No one knew. Yeah, maybe a circle of his friends knew. But this is where we're getting into that cancel culture. So, I don't want him to be, have a bad life, and he doesn't. He's got a really good life now.
Can I just say,
he's got a
you
very
are
good
one
life.
of the
Hold
most.
on, wait.
You are one of the most sensitive people I know.
Let Robbo finish his
And
point, though.
He's got a very good life. Now, all I'm saying is, do we cancel someone completely because it made 5 people upset? I'm just really worried. I'm not dismissing what his feelings are. I'm really not. But it worries me when we, do it for that reason. I don't know.
Let's reduce the numbers to you. Let's just take it down from 5 people that are upset and just say it's you. And let's just say that somebody makes a story based on your life, a character that's called Robbo, and there's people wearing T-shirts of you, and it's now taken a turn. It's now something else. It's metastasized into an environment that is making you feel upset every day of your life. Do I, as your friend, protest that somebody should stop mocking you in that fashion? Absolutely, I would. And that's because I know you to be a sensitive person, Robbo. We don't necessarily know how sensitive this boy is, who's the source of a Chris Lilley character. But what I want to do, and what I will always do, is protect the underdog and respect the minority and try and fight for somebody who feels like they are being silenced by a person who has a much bigger platform than them.
Yeah, I get what you're saying with that, but I've met many of these boys that Jonah is. So it's not like he's taken on these really broad stereotypes. I have met these guys. They talk like that. They act like that. Yeah. So at what point do we then go, well, it can't be observational comedy because, you just can't do that. If it was a Tongan boy doing it, would it be any different? Because this guy's saying that he doesn't like the way that he's being perceived.
Well, Nick
by Chris
Giannopoulos,
Lilley.
WOG's out of work. He totally mocked the WOG culture.
So if it was a Tongan boy doing it, would we be having the same issues? But I would hazard a guess that the Tongan boy would act the same way. So I just don't know.
I get that.
Yeah.
Look, it's
since
very
doing
difficult.
This show, I will say that, since doing this show, I've seen on social media, because I have a presence on social media, all 3 of us being mocked. And when I've seen that happening, I have addressed that with the person directly. And if I haven't got what I need out of that, which is to stop that narrative, I block that person and hope it disappears. Now, that is a protection of the 3 of us because we are in a show together and I respect you guys as friends, and that's what I will do. And we are maybe on a smaller platform than Chris Lilley, but at the end of the day, I fight for what is right. And sometimes I'm emotional and sometimes that's where my instinct is at. But for this particular situation, and we've got 3 more steps to go through knowing how this show is going to go on, we're going to have 3 more steps about cultural inappropriate behavior when it comes to depicting people. So we're going to get to that as the show evolves. But I just want to say, this still doesn't bode well with me. It really doesn't bode well with me. And I think Chris Lilley's nature of coming forward and then pushing this narrative just that little bit, that step too far, I think is a really dangerous environment. And I think we have to be very careful about that.
I think the next phase for him is not actually just to upload clips and say, is actually for him to put out a statement, say where he's coming from, disagree if he disagrees with the narrative, disagree if he disagrees with Philippe, and say it's not based on him. Although everything, when you read about the fact Lilley saw the documentary that featured him and went to the school, there is a lot of information that says it was based on this guy. But Lilley has his chance. He doesn't even need to do a sit-down interview. Although, Chris, you're welcome to come on the Ben, Rob and Robbo show.
Well, that's a really valid point. This is a call out to Chris Lilley. But you know what the next step for him would be is, and I don't know if this has happened, and maybe it has, and maybe I should be silenced because of this, but maybe Chris Lilley should go and reach out to this boy and have a line of communication, and then also clear it up. Clear it up for the Chris Lilley fans and prove to us, and I know this about Chris Lilley, I've met him a number of times and I love him, prove to us that you are man enough to be able to control the situation.
Yep. Very good point. All right, let's move on. And last night on our video podcast, Eye on Big Brother, we were joined by Hall of Famer Tully. She's an ex-housemate. But when she had her turn in the house, she was heavily criticised for falling in love with a man when she'd previously been with a woman. Here's what she had to say about the backlash.
You entered the show in a relationship with a woman, and you did end up in a relationship with a man. And Australia watched that unfold. Some people could blame you when it came to Drew because, you know, he's a good-looking guy. He's a good-looking rooster, as they say.
Specimen.
But what was the blowback for you coming off the show, considering that relationship evolved in front of the nation?
Yeah, it was immense. I knew it would be pretty tough. I probably didn't realize just the gravity of the situation. I remember the psychologist, when I was first off stage with Sonia, said to me, look, there's been a lot of backlash, both from the public and from the media. He had to let me know that there was a Facebook group with like 60,000 members that like were posting death threats and horrible memes about me. Worse than that, you know, I was called name in the streets. I had paparazzi stalking me. I had countless online trolls, Twitter trolls, Facebook trolls. I was getting awful emails sent to me. My family were copying it. So yeah, it was pretty severe.
Look, this got us thinking, if you are part of a minority, do you have an obligation to act in a certain way? Ben, what are your thoughts? This affects the gay community. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. Some valid points being brought up by Tully. Very intelligent woman, I must say. When it comes to reality TV shows, producers are usually looking to tell a story about one LGBTI person as a reflection of society. And what tends to happen is there is a backlash from the queer community that they don't feel like they're being represented by that one person's story. And there's some validity in that, because when it comes to any LGBTI person, there is there's probably billions of different stories about different diverse parts of our culture, and not merely culture, but it's probably the wrong term, but you know, queerism, you know. And so look, sometimes there's blowback from queer people saying, hey Tully, you're not representing my bi or my queer space, you know, I don't resonate with that. How dare you go on that show and say you're representing me? These people aren't representing. I never represented the queer community by being on Big Brother. Like, I just was my own story. And that does not necessarily mean that I'm a spokesperson for the queer community. Am I the right person to be answering all questions about queer things? Absolutely not. I mean, I've got a friend of mine who's immersed in the LGBTI community. That's his life. That's his passion. And when anyone comes to me with questions about, you know, pronouns or the LGBTI and what they all stand for, I direct them to my friend Dastyari. And I'm like, do you know what? Speak to someone who is all over this. But just because I was on a reality television show doesn't, and the same with Tully, doesn't mean that our behaviour reflects the community.
Robbo, is it hypocrisy to say we want representation, we want to be true to ourselves, we don't want to be judged, and yet the first thing that happens when someone of the community goes on and doesn't play to the narrative that they want, because obviously that lesbians don't want to be seen as being able to go from men to women, but Tully is bisexual. So why isn't she allowed to be herself? Why does this radical group within a community, and it happens in all groups, why is she not allowed to live her life the way she wants to? Why is the onus put on her to behave in a certain way to represent the community?
A very good question. I think that the gay community, and I'm encompassing all of the letters there, they've done very well. We've done very well, I should say. We've done very well. I think it comes down to, though, inside that community, like you say, it's also not very nice. It's very, you're too gay, you're too femme, you're too fat, you're too thin. You know, all of these things happen within that community, which is really bad, and that's what we're seeing here with Tully. The community is pretty rough. I think, though, that we all have a responsibility, because all of the people who have gone before us and have made, such massive leap forwards for us, they should be respected, and there should be a responsibility for that. So I think that you've got to be supportive of the minority, but you shouldn't have to act a certain way.
Yes.
I think the biggest problem is allies. Really, there have been next to no examples that I can think of where I was really offended by being a gay man about what a joke was said or something said or whatever. I just wasn't, and I think that's really evident in a lot of different minority groups. It's not actually anyone in the group that gets offended or that goes on this rampage. It's people who go, well, I'm an ally, I'm a straight person, but you shouldn't say that, you shouldn't do that. We'll decide, or I will decide, what I find offensive. I will live my life the way I want to live my life. Don't tell me what to do, and don't fight a fight for me that I'm not fighting myself.
And to me, and as a straight guy, although this is 2.5 gays, the thing that gets me is that there's always fringe groups that wreck any cause. And when you see people having a go at people like Tully, or it's never good enough. It's never good enough. And it actually gets the mainstream offside. Because when, I always think you need to bring mainstream along for the ride to get real significant change. This country showed its values in allowing same-sex marriage. Which I think was a huge achievement, despite all the politicians and the hypocrisy of politicians. Yes, Robbo?
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. Sorry, I was doing that showbiz stuff where, you go, but I've got something for you. But,
for some, that was a major step, but for some it's never enough. And I understand that we should keep fighting, and we should keep fighting for rights, and any oppression should be gathered out. But when you go to extremes, you lose the majority. And that's what any group needs to be careful of. And it's the same in the Black Lives Matter. It's the same in anything, that when you go to that extreme, you lose the people who are going to support you to get the changes. Does that make sense?
And I think that's what happened, I think, with the same-sex marriage debate. So as we got closer to it actually becoming a reality, there was still extremism on both sides, but we came kind of in the middle, and I'm talking about, LGBTIQ people. We came in the middle, and that's when we started to win over the public. Yes. I think that if we had remained as this kind of extremism force going, we deserve this, that's not the way to win friends, and, it just alienates people. If I can give you an example, this was a tweet that was sent out last night from Sally Rugg. Sally Rugg is the executive director of change.org, and she says, straight ladies, we need to talk. You really need to stop referring to your female friend as your girlfriend. You'd never call your male friend boyfriend, because that would cause confusion. Weird. See how using girlfriend for female friends is invalidating to gay and bi women. I could not disagree more. This is exactly what you're saying, Rob. You cannot alienate the majority when you want the majority to support the minority. This is ridiculous. Like, my mum talks about her, like, no one thinks that she's a lesbian. No one thinks that my sister is saying, I'm going out with my girlfriend. Are you a lesbian? No one thinks that. And I don't think it invalidates anything. All this does is, spur up this ridiculous argument that doesn't need to be there. And you're exactly right. It doesn't need to, it's not getting the majority on side.
Yeah, absolutely. All right.
Well, just before we move on, because I just need to clarify something. I think Sally, who's a friend of mine, when she sees this show and she sees that I said nothing, she'll probably be a little bit upset about it. I think, when Sally tweets this sort of stuff, it's because she is fostering change, and she's trying to move into an environment which understands all people. And I guess it is probably a change in time, and it's a change in culture for us to be able to use the correct terms and evolve with the correct terms. And
but
yes,
then
it keeps
what's wrong
evolving.
with saying I'm going out with my girlfriends? Like if you're a woman. I mean, to be honest, yes, it doesn't happen with men, but there'd be nothing wrong with saying I'm going out with my boyfriends. We tend to say going out with a few of the boys. I just don't see, out of everything, out of all the equality and all the issues that face minorities, especially the gay community, hetero women saying they're going out with their girlfriends is not an issue. It's just not an issue. And that's where you start to lose mainstream Australia.
But people,
it's that kind of crap.
I really don't think it's that kind of crap at all. I think she's got a really valid... Well, I've never heard you say, hey, I'm going to go and hang out with my boyfriend on the weekend.
I just explained that doesn't happen.
But that doesn't happen.
Yeah, I know, but
it's not part of the common vernacular. But it's not going against. So it's not going against lesbians at all. It almost seems like we're trying now to put lines back in the sand that we'd already got rid of.
Yeah.
So we're now trying to segregate the communities again. Yeah.
I think we're just trying to evolve, and we're trying to get to a place where all LGBTI people feel heard. And I think that what we're trying to do is abolish shame within the community. And there is a lot of shame. There's plenty of people I know that are very shameful about their sexuality. And I just think that we're going to need to continue to evolve with that. I personally, I say when I refer to my girlfriends, my friends, I use that language myself. However, I found it really hard to change the way in which I talk to people with their correct pronouns. That was a really hard pill for me to swallow. Do I do it now? Yes, I do. I am evolving, and I am evolving with the English language, as we all are, and I will continue to do so until everybody feels heard and everyone feels respected. And if Sally Rugg wants to come out and say this, yes, that's her opinion, I'm going to take it on board, and it sounds clear to me that you two won't.
I think it's about priorities. To me, this is like banning an episode of the Golden Girls because they wore face masks, and that gets thrown in with the whole blackface scenario. I think this is where we start to lose people. And if people like Sally, who I don't know, I'm going to be completely honest, if people like Sally want mainstream Australia on board with them, alienating women who use the term girlfriends that as a friendly way without a second thought, that's not having a go at lesbians. In no way is that having a go at lesbians. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. And I just think
but
this...
then when you find out that it is, and you find out that it is upsetting people, can't we just try and change? Can't we not try and change this?
Yeah, but Ben, if we do that, we won't speak because everything will upset someone. Any term will upset someone.
True.
I just don't understand
I'm just gonna,
that a phrase that has nothing to do with lesbianism is now off the table for people to say, I'm going out with the girlfriends.
But now that you know that does offend people, can you not just evolve with that? How much do you need to protect?
Does every lesbian agree with Sally? This is one woman's opinion. She doesn't speak for all lesbians.
Yeah, well, she's not talking for all lesbians, but she has a very big profile. She's done a lot for the LGBTI community in Australia. Sure. She was one of the strongest advocates to get marriage equality across the line. I watched that woman work so hard to get to where she got to. And then, you know what? When we talk about her saying girlfriends today, let me take you back 5 years ago when she was fighting for marriage equality and people didn't want to swallow that pill. Like, I'm just saying, she is an LGBTI activist fighting for her community, and there is no malice behind what she's saying. She's not trying to offend you. She's simply trying to say to you that language needs to be called back. She's trying to take ownership over something, and I completely respect her with that.
That's fine. And my only view on that is that, to me, there is a difference between same-sex marriage, which is oppressing people and stopping them from having a right, and using a term like girlfriends. I just don't think they're on the same playing field. And congratulations to Sally on all the work she did. I'm a big supporter of that movement, and I'm so on the table with same-sex marriage. I'm glad it got through, and I despise the politicians who did not vote, who actually tried to hamper it and get Australians against it, then walked out of the parliament. Tony Abbott was one of them who actually would not cast the vote based on the vote of the people. There's a lot wrong with the way the same-sex marriage debate was handled in this country, and good on Sally for making that happen. I just personally think she's barking up the wrong tree here, and it's alienating to people. But, we'll agree to disagree. All right. To a few, it's a tradition. To others, religion calls for it. But more and more blokes, it seems, it's seen as the unkindest cut of all. Circumcision has been around for thousands of years, and up until the 70s, it was a social norm here in Australia. But times have certainly changed. It's estimated that now only around 6% of us Aussie boys are getting the chop. But a new book being released says there's a lot of body image issues and anxiety when it comes to cut or uncut. 1/3 of Aussies, millennials under 25 who are circumcised, suffer severe body anxiety. And on the opposite end of the scale, 1/3 of boomers over 55 suffer the same concerns for not being circumcised. So just to break that down, guys over 55 who aren't circumcised feel different to the circumcised people. The millennials feel strange if they are circumcised because that's not the norm within their group. Ben, are you surprised that this is a body-conscious image issue like this?
Well, look, I think that, you can look. This conversation involves a lot of dicks, so I'm going to be really careful with this. But I think that when it comes to talking about circumcision, I think that people shouldn't be circumcised, absolutely. I think you know, that is it's kind of gross, really. I mean, you're kind of taking away pleasure from the man, because, you know, that piece of skin is you know, should be there. And it's a part of the body part that, you know, evolution didn't wear away. So look, I think what actually happened is there was a stigma for a very long time that a circumcised penis looked better. But that sort of has changed now. And I think now we're talking about what is healthy, what is the right thing to do. And I think the right thing to do is to not circumcise your children.
Well, it's funny you say that circumcision was seen as the norm. Have a look at this is a snapshot of the 90s. Have a look at this Seinfeld clip.
Hey, Jerry, you ever seen one?
Oh, you mean that wasn't,
Yeah.
No, you?
Yeah.
What'd you think?
It had no face, no personality. It was like a Martian. But hey, you know, that's me.
Hey!
Robert, doesn't it show how opinions change?
Well, it does, but in America, you still, I think 80% of boys are still getting the chop in America. It hasn't gone down at all. Even most of the medical, bodies have said that, you know, this is what you should do and we support this. Very different in Australia here. Look, I actually asked, let's get real. If we're going to talk about this, we can't actually not talk about it. I asked my mum why I wasn't circumcised, and I was her first child, and she just thought it would happen. This was in '83, and then it was actually her GP who said, "Oh, well, you're going to have a tough time, you know, finding someone to do it. It's just we're not really doing it anymore." There's a lot of arguments for and against, and what you'll find is it's a very fence-sitting thing. It polarizes people. Sorry, not fence-sitting. Polarizes people about what it shouldn't happen. The reasons that you might do it overseas, you not do it here. The diseases or whatever that can affect some people if they are circumcised, they're not really prevalent here in Australia. All I can tell you, though, is it's pretty simple stuff. Just wash it. It's pretty easy. Like, oh my goodness. But this is the thing, though, as well. Another quick story. Sorry, I'm going on. But when I used to go to swimming class, I hit puberty fairly early, and I started getting hair under my arms. Now, because I was not part of the majority, I was teased. And then a friend of mine who actually, you know, bloomed later in life, he was then teased because he didn't have hair under his arms. Like, you've just got to be part of the minority, don't you? The majority. And if you're not, then you're going to be picked on. It's really sad. There was a case of a kid in Melbourne who started wetting his pants in school because he wouldn't go to the toilet because other boys started teasing him. He's now homeschooled. That's a really tragic story. But I can understand a lot of people will say that, you know, they were, they had no choice. It was unfair. They'd been mutilated. I get that. Like, I understand all of that. But yeah, I wish I had I didn't have a sentence. Maybe it's
almost made it sound like you were going somewhere with that, Robert.
Sorry, my brain was
just as a quick wrap up on this. I worry about all the 20-something girls and guys, but some girls are getting everything lasered so it never grows back, and I just think times will change where it's considered to. It's already happening, I think, where. The bush comes back. Yeah, thank you, for want of a better term.
I'm back. Oh, sorry. Did you want me to answer? Or are you laughing? Oh,
sorry, I wanted you to answer.
Anyway, so sorry. I was just like laughing in my own head. Look, I think that it's up to the individual. Some girls want to have their bits lasered. Some girls don't. Some boys like uncircumcised cocks. Some boys don't. Like, you know, it's all kind of like, it's all relative in its own environment. To me personally, I'm uncut. I like an uncut dick. That's the end of the segment.
Maybe I didn't want you to answer the question, Ben. Maybe I didn't want you to answer the question.
But can I quickly say, though,
we've got to size people.
It's very clear that this show is 2.5 gays because the moment we started on this particular subject, we all got foggy brains. We couldn't talk properly. We were very distracted.
Look, Australian Circumcision, 50 Years of Social Change is by B. Palmer, and it's available now on Amazon. I think we've even got a picture of the book if you really want to go and get it. It's fascinating, and it will be a fascinating read. And, if you like a little bit of snipping, it's for you. I don't know what I'm trying to say there. I'm trying to move on as quickly as possible. Look, motion pictures have the ability to make us laugh and cry, but they can also make us cringe in a big way. BuzzFeed has released a list of their most cringy movie moments, and these are just some of the ones that we love. Who can forget the vampire/werewolf rivalry in Twilight? Well, according to The Wolf, there was an easy way to measure up who should be on top.
Oh, God. Where's this show gone? You obviously wrote this, Robbo. Oh.
Having a playback issue.
This is like watching porn in the 90s. It keeps freezing. Oh, not enough data.
Here we go.
Let's face it. I am hotter than you.
Was that what we were desperately trying to get to?
Yes. That's how quick it is. But that's fact, though. Get your hand off me. That's
all
fact.
right, that decides it. We all remember the moment that John found out that Angela was closer to him than he thought on the Seven Network's hit classic, Sons and Daughters.
Yes.
I've done everything to avoid it. But believe me, I am telling the truth now. The reason you can't get involved with Angela Hamilton, she's your sister.
Oh, that was good TV. I was such a fan of that show. Love is very strange. It can come and go. It can happen when. You don't remember the words?
Sons and
No,
daughters.
it can happen when you are young
love
and old.
laughter, tears and sadness and happiness.
You and I will not be auditioning for Australian Idol. Look, and it was only a year later that we were rocked again by intergalactic inbreeding. Well, not quite, but it was grossly close enough.
Force is strong in my family. My father has it. I have it. And my sister has it.
Boom.
Yes. It's you, Leia.
Let's have another pash.
I know.
So awkward.
Somehow.
It's like he's telling her that he's got coronavirus.
I've always known.
If she has always known, why did she pash him? You just didn't need that line. You just didn't need to say, I've always known. Her reaction should have been, no. Bit orcs. Anyway,
Yeah,
when it
sorry
comes to
about
death
that.
scenes, none are more, fondly remembered than this one from The Dark Knight Rises.
This bomb will be stopped. Prepare yourselves. My father's work is done.
Seriously, every time.
But the most cringy scenes are the ones that we can relate to as much as we wish we didn't, like this one from Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, the Foley brothers.
Oh.
Harry, are you in there?
Be right out!
I hope you're not using the toilet. It's broken.
Huh?
The toilet doesn't flush.
No, I was just shaving.
My favourite thing about that clip was watching Robbo's face on my monitor. Robbo was literally like this. It was hilarious to watch your face.
Nothing works better than a fart joke. I mean, that's not cringy. Just
You've gone all Carl Sanderlands, purple from the head up.
What are you, 5?
I think I need to go to the toilet. Yeah.
All right.
Oh, wow.
You know what? We need to regain our composure and bring some seriousness to the topic. So let's go to the Ticker newsroom and get the very latest news headlines from our good friend Darren Young.
Now let's check some of today's top stories from Ticker. Some more trouble for the government's COVID-19 tracing app today. New research revealing if the federal government's COVID-19 tracing app worked properly, new coronavirus cases would be slashed by more than half. Some business owners are struggling to recruit staff. That's despite rising unemployment figures. A lack of applicants is a top challenge for more than half of employers, according to new data. The federal government is set to launch an unprecedented cyber army. The goal is to defend our nation against a growing threat of digital warfare and electronic espionage. 500 newly trained specialists have been recruited for the mission. Australian swimwear brand Sea Folly is the latest retailer to enter administration. The company has 44 Australian stores under the Sunburn brand, and Amazon will be in the good books with employees. The company says it'll spend $500 million on one-time bonuses for its frontline employees. The move aims to thank employees who have worked through the pandemic and to stimulate the economy. The weather map now for the remainder of this Tuesday. Melbourne, a sunny day and 15 degrees after a frosty morning. Sydney, 19 degrees. Overcast for Brisbane, some showers for Perth, and 20 degrees in Adelaide. A sunny top there of 16. Let's have a look at the markets now, starting off with the ASX. The ASX shooting up above 2%. It's come down a little bit, but remains pretty strong after a volatile day yesterday. The Dow, this is the picture for the first day of the week in New York. This at the end of Monday. It was down on Friday, but back up again over 2% as some hopes do emerge about the state of the US economy. That's the news for now. Now it's back to you.
Thank you, Aaron. Always appreciate it. We will see you tomorrow. Bye, sir. It was very sad news on Big Brother as we said goodbye to a viewer favourite. Ben's going to speak to Angela in just a moment, but first, let's see how my favourite housemate, may she rest in peace, refused to go down without a fight.
Would you rather the person that has worked the hardest or the safest to win that $250,000? I've played the game. I'm very loyal to everybody that I've said I'm loyal to. I didn't come here to play safe. He hasn't played safe. I want to sit here, final five or final whatever, with people that have earned and have played their game. So tonight, if I was sitting on the other couch, I would not save Casey tonight only because she's safe.
Screw you, man.
Like we came to play the game.
That's
all
so
I'm
rude.
saying.
That is so
I'm
rude.
not
How dare
attacking
you say I haven't earned my place here?
I'm just
How
saying
dare
I'm
you?
not attacking
That
you.
is so
I'm
rude.
saying
That's
my
so
view
rude.
of the game is between the three of us, he has played the game more than you. And so have I. That's it.
It's just bulldust to say that I'm playing it safe when I'm not. I'm doing it my way, and I have earned my place, and I haven't been evicted. You have.
Just calm down. We're talking. It's not a boxing match, okay?
Oh my gosh. Yes, I talk game. I just don't talk it with her because I don't trust her.
I know who I can go and talk to. If I want to talk about a 10, I know I'll come to you.
Well, it is definitely going to be the most iconic moment of the 2020 series of Big Brother. The most legendary housemate we have seen this year is joining us on the show right now. Angela, how are you, mate?
I'm very good, darling. Thank you for having me on this show.
Oh, we are so excited to have you. I was actually talking to one of your housemates, Kieran, and Kieran was saying that transaction between you and Casey was actually filmed over quite a few hours. How long did that feel in real life that you were having that discussion with her?
I don't know, because once I go somewhere, I just carry on and on and on and on and on, and it's just, when you've got something bubbling in your tummy, you lose yourself, and you're just in that moment, and just that's why I said it. But and then I got evicted, and I was like, whew, that's a lot. I felt like a burden had just been lifted off my shoulder. It was a lot.
Well, you have really captured the heart of the nation being on this series of Big Brother. And I think one of the most interesting things about Big Brother is you don't have to be the most popular in the house to be the most popular on the outside. And did you have any idea that Australia would love you as much as we do?
No way, no, because I'm going in there. I wasn't fit, have you seen me? Like, I don't exercise, and I went there with buff people, NFL players. I've never stepped foot in a gym. So no way. I thought I would be back in the queue, like the last person you'd think of, as a fan favorite. But I feel so blessed, and it's really humbled me, the love and support that I'm receiving. And yeah, I take it all in and bless others with the same.
Well, you've had people around Australia enjoying lip gloss and tea like nobody has ever enjoyed before. I've even been walking around the house saying, at home, I'm a mum. At work, I'm a boss.
I'm a boss. Yeah.
I'm a boss. I got to get that right. I swear to God. Now, I believe that there is a bit of salt in the relationship. Maybe it's gone a bit salty with you and Garth over the last couple of days. Can you give us the tea? Because I know you love tea. Can you give us the tea on Garth? What's happening?
No, I've been very, very busy. So I don't read comments or, the group chats. I removed myself from it. So I don't know where he's coming from, but I love Garth. I think he's hilarious. He's a big personality, and we're both loud. I think if Garth stayed longer in the house, I think me and him would have been a dynamic duo. And I love him. I think he's hilarious. But I don't know where he's coming from with the comments. I haven't read anything. Like I said, I've been very busy, and I try and keep myself very busy. I've got 2 kids, so no, I haven't seen what Garth is saying, but I'm curious.
Oh, well, I think you should be. And now I also read today, and because you are a news headline a minute on the Daily Mail, have you just signed yourself an endorsement with Sephora to have your own lipstick or lip gloss?
I'm hearing it now from you. There's a lot written on the media. This morning I heard, that me and Sam Worthington, there's something. You're going to see a lot, but if I don't say it, it's not true. Unless it comes from the horse's mouth, which is me, it's not true.
Well, when it comes to Big Brother for 2020, someone's going to take out the prize. And the only person I feel like I can ask to get the truth from in a house full of fakers is Angela. Yeah. So, Angela, who do you think left in the competition has a chance of winning?
It's a tough one because they're all playing, and they're not fakers. That's who you see on the screen is who we are backstage. So I don't think anyone is faking it. I think that's their personalities coming to light because we don't know where the cameras are. But I'm always loyal, so I would love to see Marissa or Kieran go all the way because I think they're playing the game. If not, my my enemy in the game, Daniel, is playing a really good game. So I don't mind seeing Daniel go far because he eliminated me and he was playing the game that I was playing. So might as well take it out. Go all the way.
100%. But a lot of people are saying that he's resting on his laurels and he's coasting all the way to the end. Do you think that he's coasting or do you think he's playing a smarter game than that?
No, that's actually smart because he's obviously outsmarting everybody, helping him play the game that he wants to play. So I would call that a game player. So, hey, if I had people helping me as well, like Costa Long, that's actually smart. And you deserve a paycheck because you've outplayed us all. And I'm sitting out here and he's in the house. He's outplayed me. He is a winner in my eyes. He's done something.
I think that there's something very authentic about yourself, and I think that you are going to exist within the Big Brother Hall of Fame for life because, you know, you are just a larger-than-life character. You say it as it is, and I guess that's why people around Australia have just warmed to you so much. You don't strike me as someone who has a lot of regrets, but if you could have a do-over, is there anything you would have done differently in the Big Brother house?
Probably not picked up that tea bag on the toilet floor.
Out of the toilet.
Not on national television. I would do that over again. Yeah, you would never catch me picking a tea bag from the floor, especially in the toilet.
I just have sat there with so many moments. You've given us all so much to laugh at, and you've just been so yourself, and I really appreciate that. Look, thanks so much for being able to join us on the Ben, Rob and Robbo show. Hopefully this is just the start. Who knows where we'll see you? I mean, has there been any job offers? Have we heard any job offers?
I want people to follow me on the journey. You know, Big Brother is my starting point, and this bus is not stopping anytime soon. So come with me along the journey of Angeliciousness, and I'm sure there will be fabulous things ahead. Yeah.
Well, I think that you're temporarily in a bunker, just like you were on the show. I think you're in a bunker now, just waiting to come back out, because I don't think this is the last we'll see of you.
Well, Ben, I've actually left the Big Brother house. So I'm actually outside. I'm not in the Big Brother house. So you will not be seeing me in the Big Brother house, Ben. No. I'm gone.
I know. But what I'm saying is I feel like that you're in, like, even though you're out of the house, I think this is just a temporary bunker where you're sort of away waiting for something different to come. I think something bigger and something better is coming for Angela. So that's what I'm saying. You're in a bunker just waiting for the next.
Yeah.
Well,
that's what I'm watching. Yeah.
Hey, would you do an All-Stars if they rang you and asked you? Because I know there were some photos on the Daily Mail of you coming out of the Perth's Channel 7 studios with a contract in your hand. Could that be a possible opportunity to do All-Stars?
You never know. And I do not knock down anything until I see what's on offer. You know, you never say no until you read the fine print. So you never know. And Big Brother, I would do it again in a heartbeat. Like if Big Brother said to me, Angela, we need you back, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm coming with my suitcase.
Well, I reckon the check's in the mail. Fantastic for you to be able to join us today on the Ben, Rob and Robbo show. All the best of luck.
Thank you, darling. Thanks for having me. Thanks, Ben.
It's the random life shot of the day. Where are you going today? You never know where you'll end up with the random life shot of the day.
Today we're going to beautiful Sydney, Australia, where it's a top of 17 degrees and it was a chilly low of 7 degrees overnight. But how beautiful does the harbour city look today? I am so loving. It's real and it's live, Ben. It's real. No, I made a model in my garage.
I want to go to there. I need to go there.
That's the Peter Overton shot, I think, isn't it? Isn't that the Peter Overton shot?
Very close to it. Very close.
Yes,
it is a beautiful angle of the city. Both 7 and 9 use it for their 6 p.m. news services, and you can see why. Beautiful. I do love Sydney as a harbour city because it just looks so divine. Oh, we are running out of time, I just realised. Let's do some feedback.
All right.
Coming through to the Ben, Rob and Robbo show. Hey, boys and Amanda, I'm mixing it up this week and having Tipsy Tuesday for end of financial year. Hope you will join me. Actually, I knew that one was coming, so I've just gone and grabbed some wine, and we will do that. Madsen says, good on Chris Lilley for standing up to the cancel culture warriors. Shannon says, I love purple and I love purple and I love green, but I wouldn't wear them together. But you do you. Oh, we've lost our live shot. Sydney's gone dark. Sydney's gone dark, everybody. Breaking news. Sydney's gone dark.
Don't be alarmed. It's a technical difficulty.
Amanda's trying to get it back up at the moment.
Yay! Start it again.
It's a good song now where you end up with the random live shot of the day.
Who sings that song? It's very catchy. I like it.
Okay. The song is sung by Buddy Good.
Take it.
I believe.
Yes,
isn't that right?
Buddy Good. Our friend Mike Carr. Look, we'll have to come back to feedback because we've got 6 minutes left of the show and we do have to get to Sam Dastyari. So I'm sorry, everyone. I'm blaming Amanda on this one.
Don't blame her. Blame yourself.
No.
I'm going to pay for that one. Oh, jeez. Anyway, I'll get to the wine in a moment. Look, it's been a big week in the world of politics with the New South Wales State MP's home and office raided by ASIO. This report from 9 News will bring you up to speed.
Innocent until proven guilty.
Let me tell you, I have done nothing wrong.
The man at the centre of Australia's first foreign interference probe says the federal police have told him he is not a suspect.
The investigation is into certain other people allegedly advancing the goals of a foreign government, namely the People's Republic of China.
Shaket Mosselmain declared his loyalty to Australia as he took leave from his New South Wales upper house seat after being suspended from Labor and amid calls for his expulsion from New South Wales Parliament before he has been charged with anything.
Sadly, the political lynching has already commenced.
Well, to guide us through the fallout of this, our political guru, Sam Dastyari, is with us. Sam, another Labor scandal.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, there's scandals a dime a dozen these days. I think this is a pretty serious... Look, the idea of ASIO doing raids on parliamentarians, you have to assume that for a fairly discreet organisation to be conducting that kind of a public inquiry, there's probably some fire there with the smoke. I mean, obviously innocent until proven guilty, but the magnitude of the decision that's being made, like, look, ASIO doesn't do these kinds of things without an eye to the fact that it is going to be highly publicised. And let's not kid ourselves, ASIO is an organisation that lives in the shadows. As far as Shaket's concerned, look, he's done and dusted. I think the smarter thing for him to do would be to drift away, to leave politics. I think that would be the smart step for him to take at the moment. This whole idea of leave of absence and I'll take a break and I'll clear my name, I think the damage has been done. I think his
that's the thing. Yeah, as you say, he's entitled to a presumption of innocence, of course, but his career's dead and buried with this, isn't it?
Done. Look, let's not pussyfoot around this. I mean, everyone loves talking about this whole idea of innocent till proven guilty, and as a principle, we should all support that as a society. But we live in a 24-hour media market. This is sensational, and he has, as much as we can all say, of course, you should be innocent till proven guilty. The fact is that the political damage is done. He may or may not, have, conducted a crime. That doesn't really matter in the public sphere.
Now, Sam, obviously, we know that you were engulfed in a scandal with China, but on the face of it, surely this is much, much bigger.
Oh, wait, huge. I mean, the fact that there's this whole implication that there was agents or whatnot that may or may not have been working for him, whether or not he did or didn't know, to what extent Shaket Mosselmain was, some kind of a useful idiot, and to what extent he was involved will obviously come to light. But the political ramifications of this is I think, quite significant. It's probably not the end of it. But again, ASIO is not going to conduct a public raid on a parliamentarian's office if they think there's nothing there. These raids tend to be a result of they're just trying to secure documents they know exist.
Yeah.
How detrimental would you say this is to the overall party?
Terrible. Look, I think firstly, I think it damages the body politic generally. I'm fascinated. It's always hard to tell what are the scandals that break through, right? Because there's so many of them in politics, right? And it's normally the ones that are visibly identifiable with events that become the scandal. So, give you an example. Choppergate became such a big scandal for Bronwyn Bishop because the optics of going on a helicopter, to travel to Geelong was just so, extreme, when there's been 1,000,001 travel routes. I think at this stage, let's see where this goes. If the optics of this turn out to be as bad as they may be, a week ago there was a big scandal down in Victoria with the Labor Party. The optics of a parliamentarian withdrawing cash from a bank account. You know what I mean? Like when there's an image, the story becomes so much more powerful. So far, that doesn't actually exist, but I think this has got a long way to go.
Not even with the fact ASIO has raided the man's house and his office, and which leads to another important thing, Sam. How were cameras there when the raids were taking place?
Well, look, let's not kid ourselves. We all know how these things work. These security agencies tip off media that they're going to be there. It's horrible. It's horrendous. It shouldn't happen. It's never a coincidence, and someone has tipped them off. And New South Wales police are quite renowned for doing this. Police media, you get a few text messages to their favourite journos saying, "Be here at this time." I've never been aware of ASIO doing it.
I'm just wondering if we can turn back the clock and have a look at the history of politics. And off the top of your head, obviously you're not prepared for this question, but who's somebody in your mind who has committed something like this and has been able to come back from it? Like, is there a politician you could think of that's been under this much scrutiny that's been able to come back and return to public favour?
No, not this much. And the reason is this. It's also partly in who you are beforehand, right? So Barnaby Joyce has all these crazy kind of things going on, his wife and giving her a job and, these kind of handles, right? Once you're already defined by the Australian public for something, you can just add other things to it. If nobody knows anything about you and this is the only thing that they're going to be introduced to you about, you're done. So really high-profile politicians, right? A Bill Clinton sex scandal or whatever, you can survive in some ways because there's so many other parts to your story.
So, Sam, could you ever come back based on what happened to you?
Probably not, and I'm not sure I'd want to be honest. I
would love to see you back in politics.
yeah, you would. But look, no, and you wouldn't want to. It's just, to be honest, the life. It's not worth it. It's really not worth it.
You've got more sticks in the fire, don't you, mate? Like there's, why would you want to come back to politics when, you've obviously got other things going on?
I've got the Ben, Rob and Robbo show.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying.
The top.
As I tell people, it's better than sex and almost as good as Parliament.
And at least you get it once a week.
It's more than Mr. McKnight.
Well,
Sam,
not when he's dressing up like Alan Jones.
I've had so many comments about this outfit today of how suave I look. It's literally just one of my jackets and one of my shirts put together, but it's a combination that is setting the nation on fire, apparently.
It's not a combination. It's the fact that you own both of them.
It's amazing.
Right,
I keep waiting for that.
Very good point.
We'll get some more political insight next week. Thank you, Sam Dastyari.
Thanks, guys. Talk to you later. See ya.
Thanks, Sam. Thank you. Oh, yeah. It's the outfit that has divided the nation. Yes.
So we went too long. Ticker had to cut us off because we've got to be out by 2 o'clock because they've got to do their news. So we're only on the socials now. So what I thought we'd do is we'll do entertainment and then I'll get to the feedback that we lost before and we'll wrap the show up. How does that sound, everybody? A bit of extra bonus for our lovely social media people.
Yeah, it sounds great. I'm just watching the feed
lovely.
now from Ticker. What's his name there? Anyway, sorry, Rob. Sorry, I'm just...
Don't send people back to Ticker.
No, sorry. I did...
Jesus.
Sorry.
All right.
Sorry.
You know what? There's a lot happening in the world of entertainment, and for that we go to the one and only Ben Norris. And Ben, some huge Katy Perry news.
Yeah, absolutely. Katy Perry's opened up about her mental health struggles. Lots of chat about this in the media over the last couple of days. We did know that one of the last album that she had out was a massive bomb. It was about 10% of the sales of what she had for her previous album. A lot of people didn't enjoy the music that was on that. And at the same time, her relationship with Orlando Bloom did come to an end. She has revealed that she did suffer from depression at that point and had contemplated suicide. Hard to imagine when you're a multi-million-dollar artist that you, just like everybody else, is human. So an interesting story to hear that Katy Perry went through that moment, but also really powerful for her to feel that she can share that with us. I think that was really great of her.
It certainly is, Ben. If I can, we've just got breaking news here. That is, of course, the current affair theme. Can you tell me why I'm not seeing my very favourite lady, Tracy Grimshaw, at the desk? What's happening?
Is that how we're doing sound effects these days? I love it.
It's high quality production.
High quality stuff.
I'm living for it. I'm living for it. Look, Tracy Grimshaw has been absent from our scenes and, from our screens, should I say. And she has finally come out by posting something on her Instagram. I love it when Tracy posts on her Instagram. It reminds me of when my mum posts on her Instagram. Sometimes people over a certain age, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is a bit daggy. But we do now know that she fractured her ankle. She's taking some time off, and the moon boot that you can see in that post that just flashed on your screen is a sign that she's on her road to recovery, and hopefully we'll see her back on A Current Affair very soon.
Indeed. Although you considered a desk in a moon boot, Tracy. Come on.
So I have to agree with Robert McKnight there. Yeah.
Believe me, Robbo's been trying to get me to fall over so he can host the show. So.
Really?
How are your brakes?
Oh my gosh,
have you driven your car today?
I'm feeling fighting fit, Robbo. I'm fine.
Yeah.
Never take a holiday on TV. Never take a holiday. No. Hey, Ben, they say there are more TV shows facing censorship in reflection to the racism debate. Tell us now who's under fire, because I'm not happy.
Yeah, making news over the last couple of days. Obviously cultural inappropriate behaviour has been seen right across the TV screens for many years. And with the latest discussions about Family Guy and also the spin-off show Cleveland, the guys from Family Guy have come out saying that they will not be using white people to be voicing the characters of African American or any other people of color. It's a fairly strong move. It's off the back actually of The Simpsons. The Simpsons came out saying, Hank Azaria and Kristen Bell were no longer going to be voicing famous characters on their show, to make sure that it is a sign of respect. And this is what we've been waiting for. I was going to talk about this yesterday. We're going to talk about it today. But a very controversial moment that happened on The Golden Girls, which has had people talking for almost 15 years, looks like it's going to be the face of some backlash of what's happened with blackface. It is quite funny, but it is quite polarizing. Check out this scene.
How y'all doing? Have you met Dorothy?
No, actually, they haven't.
Be Michael's parents. Mama, put your glasses on. Oh, my Lord.
This is mud on our faces. We're not really black.
Mama, Aunt Trudy, Aunt Libby, this is Blanche Devereaux, this is Rose Nyland, and this is Michael's mother, Dorothy, and this is Michael. This is Michael? Yes. Uh-huh. Come on, Mama, we talked about this. I told you he was younger.
Yes, but you sure didn't tell me he was white.
No daughter of mine is marrying some skinny white boy.
I have a big problem with this being taken off air, Ben.
Why?
Because it's not racist. You're dealing with social issues of trying to educate white people. What if it was reverse racism? Why then it's not so right, is it? So they were using a scene of a black woman not wanting her daughter to marry a white man as a way of showing the public of, imagine now it's on the other foot. The face cream gag, the mud cream, is just a gag. It's inoffensive. It's not. It's not saying blackface is okay.
Malicious.
They're not even doing blackface. Yep. They're wearing a mud mask. And yes, it's all about the timing, and it's in that scene for a reason. I think it's ridiculous to take this episode off the air. Just ridiculous.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, and I'm, looking forward to getting Robbo's impressions on this, or his thoughts on this as well. But what was interesting was that when I delved a little bit deeper, there was lots of complaints to the ABC when this episode played. So obviously, this has been creating a bit of a stir for the African American community for a very long time. Look, I think that The Golden Girls was really progressive, and I think this comes from a place of non-malice. I think I must admit, I actually have enjoyed this scene for so many years. It's very funny. The girls are very funny. There is absolutely no malice at hand here, but because of the fact that this has continued to create people to be upset about it with cultural misappropriation, I think, they're just doing the right thing, and they're just moving moving that episode off air. Don't see a really big problem with that.
I see a massive problem with it because it's Rob McKnight is what you were talking about before, where we're cancelling all of these things that don't need to be cancelled. There are bigger issues in the media that we need to worry about. This is not one of those things, is it? Yeah. It wasn't making fun of black people at all. They weren't doing blackface at all. There was no kind of inclination or idea that they were doing blackface in a kind of a subliminal, is that the right word? Yeah. Kind of way. This is outrageous, and this is what goes back to what you were saying about the majority with the minority. If you're starting to do things like this with the Golden Girls, who were, as Ben said, very progressive on a multitude of issues, race, gay marriage,
sexuality,
HIV, sexuality, absolutely. When the minority kind of come up, they're not going to get the majority on side, are they? And this is this is almost textbook example of that. This doesn't need to be cancelled. I understand that people would be offended by Little Britain and Come Fly With Me. I understand that, but this is just nowhere near that, and it's only going to alienate further the majority from the minority. This is outrageous. It's
Absolutely.
Stupid.
Absolutely. Ben, I'll give you the last word before we move on.
I sincerely hope that you two are not the last two white men still sitting around having this argument, because, I'm just trying to be really progressive, and I've come a long way with being able to understand the reasons why. I did look up the information. I did find out that African-American people in America made a lot of complaints to the ABC when this episode came up. I completely understand that the Golden Girls and the writers, Susan Harris, never intended to upset anyone, but the response was that it did. And so what I'm doing is I'm evolving.
Ben, everything will upset everyone. People will be upset by the fact we've got opinions. Should we be taken off the air?
No, we're allowed to have our opinions, but what we are also going to be doing is using our minds, using our hearts, and looking out for other people and trying to make sure that we are doing the right things by even the smallest minority.
Well, look, maybe I'm a dinosaur, but I do believe that there's got to be a common sense approach. I'm more worried about a guy getting choked to death by a police officer than I am about Blanche and Rose wearing a mud mask on their face.
Don't try and compare that with me. Don't try and compare that with me.
That is absolutely the comparison.
Okay, well, I feel really upset about that because but I will answer your other thing, and that is that you were saying that you're a dinosaur, and I love Jurassic Park, so I still love you.
I'm sorry I upset you, but to me, we're losing sight of the bigger issues. Yeah, if you want to, the whole argument about
we're not taking away from the bigger issues. We're not taking away from the bigger issues.
I think we are.
We are having a discussion about an episode of The Golden Girls that wasn't doing blackface, and we're not talking about the bigger issues because this is now taking the spotlight. It's this kind of stupidity. If you want to get rid of blackface, then that's fine.
Where do you think it comes from? Where do you think racism comes from? Because the reason why this whole thing with George Floyd happened in America... Look, I'm telling you, you're going to have to put a bigger magnifying glass and open up your eyes a little bit more. But the reason why racism has been as prevalent as it has been is because there are small pockets of communities that still feel like they're being offended and made fun of. And you know what? We don't know where... We still can't pinpoint exactly where racism comes from, but we certainly have to start looking at it a little bit differently. And it is going to take a little bit of time. And I'm going to say this. I don't know whether or not that episode's going to upset anyone. I can't see necessarily how it did upset anyone, but I've been told that it did, and I want racism to go away.
Who's making that decision? There isn't someone speaking for the entire African-American community. This is the point. One or two people get allowed voice. So basically you're saying if it upsets one or two people, then it's gone. Whatever it is, doesn't matter.
What I'm saying is that in 2020, I'm shocked to have seen half the racism that I've seen in this year. This year, racism still occurs in this country. I don't have all the answers. Yep. I don't have all the answers. But what I will do is I will re-examine everything. And if I think there's a shred of anything left in the information on the internet or on the television that is adding to a line of communication that might have to do with racism, that I'm just going to cut it off. That's what I'm going to do.
It comes back to that early... Go, Rob.
Yeah, sorry, Rob. If it offends one person who isn't African-American, should we cut it?
I'm just saying that...
Shouldn't we wait for the... we spoke about today on the episode with gay rights and also with race. if it upsets a person who is not part of that community, is that enough for it to be cancelled?
Yeah, I'm just going to say at this particular point, I don't have all the answers for either of you, but what I have been told
But what's your
is that
opinion?
this
What's your
particular
opinion on
scene
that?
of this particular scene of the Golden Girls offended some African American people for 15 years, and it doesn't cost me anything to say that it should, for it to be taken off air. Did I think it was funny? Yes. Do I think it should go? If that's going to help, then yes, I'm not going to defend an episode of the Golden Girls if it means standing up against racism.
Well, look, I'm interested in your thoughts as we always are, but if you want to see that episode, go to Stan, Season 3, Episode 23. Have a look for yourself and let us know. Season 3, Episode 23, the episode is called Mixed Blessings. It's still available here in Australia on Stan. It has been taken off Hulu. I would love the viewers of our show to go and have a look and let me know. Like, seriously, there are big discussions going on at the moment. You've heard our views. Now let's hear yours. In the meantime, I've got a bit of breaking news for you. And Queensland has decided to open its borders on July 10 unless you live in Victoria. Anyone who has visited Victoria will be turned away or forced to quarantine for 14 days and pay for their own hotel quarantine. And that includes any Victorian or any Queenslander who is returning to the state coming from Victoria. So some big news there. There's been a lot of pressure to reopen the Queensland border. That is happening on July 10. What do you think, Robbo, even if you haven't been to these hotspots? I've got to get more information. This is breaking news. But I think this is a sensible approach.
Absolutely, it is a sensible approach when you consider the loss of life, number one, but also the massive economic loss that affects almost every single family in Australia. It's time to get serious. Now we did the lockdown and that's all good and that's all fine, right? But we need to start actually doing it seriously. This is a virus that is spread really easily. If you're in a hotspot or if you've been to the state, you just can't travel. So stop having this kind of entitled opinion of yourself where you think, well, no, it's a free country, I can travel. No, you know what? No, you can't. You just bloody can't. So I think this is a great level of leadership from Anastasia Palaszczuk. I think this is the right way to go, and it needs to be like this. Hey, you know what? It's all our responsibility. It's not the police. It's not, the government. It's us. If you don't need to go out and you're in a hotspot, don't bloody go out. And then, you know what? If we all do the right thing, we'll get out of this sooner. That's the biggest thing. Stop being entitled.
Ben, you get the last word.
Oh, I love Anastasia Palaszczuk. She was the Premier of Queensland when I lived in Queensland a couple of years ago. I think she does a great job. I think this is a great move by the government, and I hope everyone completely understands that this is the right move. So good on you, Anastasia Palaszczuk.
There you go. We end in agreement. Nice job.
Yay!
All right, boys. Thank you for a great conversation today. Sometimes we agree, sometimes we disagree, but what you always get is passionate debate from us, and we wear our hearts on our sleeve, and I love you two for it. So more of it, I say. Ben, thank you very much. Robbo, thank you very much. Don't forget our Eye on Big Brother podcast. And Ben, who's our special guest tonight?
We have Heidi Anderson. I believe she's not Heidi Anderson anymore because she has recently gotten married and had a baby. So she's Heidi somebody, but you might remember her from the 2013 series when Tim Dormer won.
We'll see her tonight and lots to recap. It's a big episode of Big Brother tonight. Just wait until you see it. And we will see you tomorrow at 1 o'clock as we stream across the world on the BRR show. On the BRR. I got so close to the end.
Too much
on the
wine.
BRR
Too
show
much wine.
social media channels. Bye-bye.